Hey guys, welcome to our note 7-3 graphing logarithmic functions. So logarithmic functions are defined to be the inverse of an exponential function. The basic equation for a logarithmic function is y equals log base b of x, where b to the y equals x. So example 1 is asking us to use the given x values to graph each function. Then graph the inverse of the function. Describe the domain and range of each. So we've done this previously in 7.2, but now instead of giving us points, they're giving us a function. So 2 to the x is my function. If I graph my function, it looks like this. And so they want us to make a table of x and y values from -2 to +2. So I'm going to click second table to get to my table to get those values quickly. So 0.25, 0.5, 1, 2, and 4. So now that I have this graph, or these points, I can graph it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So at -2, we are at 0.25. At -1, we're at 0.5. At 0, we're at 1. At 1, we're at 2, and at 2, we're at 4. So here is my graph. It's growing exponentially. Remember, exponential functions can never equal 0. So my asymptote here is at y equals 0. So if I wanted to look at the domain of this function, it goes from -infinity to +infinity, possible x values. And looking for my range, the lowest it goes is very, very, very close to 0, but it never equals 0. So I'm going to put parentheses 0. And then we see it's going up to infinity. So now, in order to find my inverse function, first, I'm going to do it algebraically. So y equals 2 to the x. So I'm going to switch my x and y. X equals 2 to the y. So if 2 to the y equals x, and I want to solve for y, which is in my exponent, I'm going to use a logarithm. I'm going to rewrite this exponential function in logarithmic. So 2 is my base. Log base 2 of my answer equals y. So we know that f inverse of x is log base 2 of x. Now I don't even really need to do much to get the table for this function because I know it is the inverse of this table. So it's going to be 0.252. It's going to be -2. 0.5, -1, 0, 1. Let's see. 2, 1, and 4, 2. So I believe I have this one switched. It should be 1, 0. So all I did there was switch all of my x and y values from my original table. No work necessary. So now I can graph this function. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 0.25, -2, which is here. 0.5, -1, 1, 0, 2, 1, 4, 2. Here is this function. And now its asymptote is the, its asymptote is the x-axis. the y-axis, which is x equals 0. And I know my domain and range are going to be the inverse of this domain and range. So domain is going to be 0 to infinity, and range negative infinity to positive infinity, because my x and y is switched, so my domain and range switch.